Respected elders and dear friends, today is a very special day, International Yoga Day. In order to understand what this Yoga Day is all about, we have to understand what yoga really means to us and also what yoga is not all about. What is the aim of yoga, the purpose of yoga, the ultimate culmination, the state of yoga, and the means by which we can attain that yogic state that has been described through various philosophers, various realized souls. If you like to ponder over this further, I'll make it very complex actually, so you can understand the enormity of this very state. Yoga is not about religion. Yoga is not about philosophy. Yoga is all about personal experience. And through this experiencing, one day must come that we realize and become yogis. Now, what is the state of yoga, the ultimate state? In order to understand that, we have to go back to the definition of yoga according to Rishi Patanjali. Yoga means, in Sanskrit, it is defined as Yajjuti iti yoga, one that joins. Now, what is it being joined here? What is being united here? I think various philosophers have thrown so much of light on this subject. I would like to only say one thing, that it is our lower consciousness that has to be elevated to the highest consciousness so that our existence can resonate with the divine principle. This happens when Atma merges in Paramatma. To simply put, in Kabir's words, an ultimate state of yoga where the raindrop falling in the ocean becoming the ocean. There will not be any raindrop left behind to talk about what ocean is all about. It is dissolved. That's why often in Vedas, the ultimate state is described in negative terms. Neti, 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 not this, not this, not this, because the perfect, the most balanced state that godly presence represent, it has nothing to do with this worldly acquisition and miraculous thing that yogis nowadays seems to perform. It is all about melting away, dissolving in that ultimate. Neti, 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 the classical words, because there is nothing so perfect in this world to compare that reality which is so perfect. When we say that I am practicing yoga, these days it is selectively practiced in the form of hatha yoga, mainly the asanas, and at the most pranayama, the breathing exercise. When we see a complex process, each step leading to next one and ultimately culminating into the highest of consciousness, the very first 4 steps which are described in our yogic shastras is all about sadhana chatusthaya. This sadhana chatusthaya involves viveka, vairagya, satsampati and mumuksa. You can see this on the chart. Its English translation is also available. And if you like to go in further details, I have my article on this, which you can read. Further to this, when satsampatis are divided into 6 value systems, and further one of them being sama, the very first step, divided into 2, pravritti and nivritti. And later on, when Rishi Patanjali takes this up, pravritti path, into Ashtanga Yoga, where he begins with yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahar, dharana, dhyana and samadhi. So when we look at this, the entire chart where there are 35 steps, asana only is a very insignificant step, one of the 35th step. Even meditation is not the complete step in itself. It is like, when you go to a restaurant and you have about 20 dishes or 35 dishes. Children jump on sweet dishes. Some people jump on something else depending upon their choice. Then what do we tell our children? My boy or a girl, are you happy with just the sweets? So that's how we are doing. Things that we like, oh, okay, this is going to help me at this level. We take it because it's going to help me at a physical level. Nothing wrong with it. But we have to look for other potential benefits that we can derive from the entire spectrum of yogic approach. Having asanas alone, being satisfied at the physical level, I think it will be quite a disservice to our own existence. We have to embrace all the steps of yoga, starting with sadhana chatusthaya, culminating into sadhana with satsampatis, and further into Ashtanga Yoga, culminating into the Samadhi state, which Swami Vivekananda puts it very simply. He said we have our level of consciousness, which is hardly 8 or 10% of total available consciousness. Above it, there is an ocean of superconsciousness. Below it, there is an ocean of subconsciousness. So our film of available consciousness is sandwiched between these two giant oceans of superconscious and subconscious oceans. Idea of yogic practice and such practices involving meditational practices is only so that we expand our consciousness. Expansion of consciousness is needed so that we can finally understand all about the total universal consciousness. Later on, if fortune favors, we can see what lies behind this consciousness, what supports this consciousness. You all have heard this term, Sat Chit Anand. I think this is a magical word. To me, it is like a secret formula passed down from ages. It is like some secret potions that has been given, and this magician goes on using this magic potion to mesmerize the world. Our yogis, our elders, they have passed on to us this particular magical word, Sat Chit Anand. I don't think we should consider that as a mantra or any sort of a holy word, but it's a formula, it's a secret pathway. Sat, our existence. The purpose of this existence is to have the anandam, the permanent blissful state. And when can we have it? Only when the middle part, the chit, the consciousness, is expanded to its highest potential. So the existence with its expanded consciousness can derive bliss. This is the secret formula. How to achieve it? Rishi Patanjali puts it very beautifully, the 8 steps. I wish you would all go through this particular detailed chart and further explanations of how we can expand our consciousness and go beyond and see what lies behind this consciousness that supports all. Thank you for listening.